What happens when you take a rally-inspired Ford Focus RS and unleash it on a real airport runway? Today, we're finding out if this legendary hot hatch still lives up to the hype, or if modern performance cars have completely left it behind. With all-wheel drive, aggressive turbo power, and a soundtrack that still turns heads years later, the Focus RS has always been one of the wildest hatchbacks ever made. But on an open runway with nothing holding it back, things get seriously interesting. Is this still one of the most exciting driver's cars you can buy? Or does the experience reveal some unexpected flaws? The Ford Focus RS was never meant to be a normal daily hatchback. From the moment Ford introduced the RS badge to the Focus lineup, the goal was simple: build something practical enough for everyday driving, but aggressive enough to compete with serious performance cars. And for years, this car became one of the most talked about hot hatches in America thanks to its rally-inspired all-wheel drive system, sharp handling, and turbocharged power. What made the Focus RS stand out wasn't just speed, it was personality. The aggressive front grille, massive rear spoiler, loud exhaust pops, and wide stance made it feel like a street-legal race car. Even today, it still turns heads in a parking lot full of newer sports cars. But here's the interesting part: most people only experience the Focus RS on regular roads. Tight city streets, traffic, and speed limits never really allow this car to show what it's capable of. That's why today's setup is so unusual. We're taking this legendary hot hatch somewhere it almost never gets tested, an airport runway. An open runway changes everything. There's room to push the acceleration, test stability at high speeds, and really see whether this car still deserves its reputation in today's performance world. And trust me, once this thing starts building speed in a completely open environment, you start noticing things that normal road tests never reveal. Standing next to the Ford Focus RS on an empty runway, you immediately understand why this car built such a loyal fan base. It looks compact compared to modern performance cars, but that actually makes it feel more aggressive. The wide fenders, sharp headlights, huge rear wing, and lowered stance give it the attitude of a rally car that somehow escaped onto public roads. But the real magic starts the second you hit the throttle. Under the hood, the Focus RS packs a turbocharged 2.3-liter engine pushing out over 350 horsepower. And even today, that number is enough to make this hatchback seriously quick. On paper, the acceleration sounds impressive. On a wide-open runway, it feels even more dramatic. The car launches hard, the all-wheel drive system instantly grabs the pavement, and within seconds you're flying down the runway with that aggressive exhaust crackling behind you. And honestly, that exhaust might be one of the best parts of the entire experience. Every gear change comes with pops and bangs that echo across the airport. It doesn't sound artificial or overly engineered like some newer performance cars. It feels raw, mechanical, and unpredictable in the best possible way. Even at moderate speeds, the Focus RS constantly feels alive. Then there's the handling. Most hot hatches feel quick in a straight line, but start feeling nervous when speeds climb higher. The Focus RS does the opposite. The faster it goes, the more planted it feels. Steering is sharp, the chassis feels tight, and the car changes direction with almost no hesitation. On an open runway, you really notice how balanced this thing is. It feels smaller and lighter than many modern sports sedans, which makes the driving experience way more engaging. Inside the cabin, though, you start seeing where the car shows its age a little. The sporty bucket seats still look fantastic and hold you tightly during hard acceleration, but the infotainment system and interior materials definitely remind you this isn't a brand new luxury performance car. Some plastics feel basic, and the screen size feels tiny compared to today's giant displays. But weirdly, that almost adds to the charm. The Focus RS feels focused entirely on driving instead of trying to impress you with unnecessary tech. There are no giant touch panels distracting you, no complicated menus, and no fake engine sounds pumping through speakers. It's simple, loud, and driver-focused. Now, Of course, this car isn't perfect. The suspension is stiff, really stiff. On normal roads, that aggressive setup can become tiring pretty quickly, especially for daily commuting. Road noise is also much louder than most modern performance cars. And fuel economy. Let's just say nobody buys a Focus RS to save money at the gas station. But here's what makes this interesting. Once you get it into an environment like this Runway, many of those compromises suddenly make sense. The stiff suspension helps stability. The aggressive steering makes the car feel connected, and the loud cabin actually adds excitement instead of becoming annoying. Still, there's one thing we haven't talked about yet: whether this legendary hot hatch actually lives up to the insane hype people still give it today. Because after pushing it hard on this Runway, a few surprising weaknesses started to appear, and they might completely change whether this car is still worth buying in today's market. This is the moment where the Ford Focus RS either proves it's still a legend, or finally shows its age. So we line the car up at the edge of the Runway one last time, switch into the most aggressive drive mode, and go full throttle. The launch is violent. The turbo spools instantly, all four tires dig into the pavement, and the car fires forward harder than most people would ever expect from a hatchback. The exhaust explodes with crackles between shifts, the steering tightens up, and suddenly the entire Runway starts disappearing beneath the car, at an almost shocking pace. But what really catches you off guard isn't just the speed, it's the feeling. Modern performance cars are usually faster on paper, but many of them feel numb and overly computerized. The Focus RS feels completely different. Every vibration, every gear change, every movement of the steering wheel comes directly through the car. You're not just driving it, you're wrestling with it. And honestly, that rawness is something most new cars have lost. Then comes the high-speed cornering test. At speeds where many hot hatches start feeling unstable, the Focus RS stays incredibly composed. The all-wheel drive system pulls the car through corners with ridiculous grip, and the balance feels almost rally-inspired. For a moment, you completely forget this started life as a practical hatchback. But then the weaknesses appear. Push the car hard enough, and you start noticing torque steer fighting through the wheel. The stiff suspension becomes brutal over uneven pavement, and the cabin noise at high speed is impossible to ignore. This isn't a refined performance machine. It's chaotic, loud, and demanding. And weirdly, that's exactly why this car still feels special. Because in a world full of smooth, silent, technology-heavy performance cars, the Focus RS still delivers something old school and emotional. The question now is whether that raw driving experience is enough to outweigh its flaws in today's market, because the answer might surprise a lot of people. After spending time pushing the Ford Focus RS on a real airport Runway, one thing becomes very clear: this car still delivers an experience that many modern performance cars simply can't replicate. Is it the fastest car you can buy today? No. Is it the most comfortable or refined? Definitely not. The suspension is harsh, the cabin feels dated in places, and long drives can become tiring pretty quickly. But that's also what makes the Focus RS feel so different from newer performance vehicles that prioritize technology and comfort over emotion. This car is built for drivers who actually want to feel connected to the road. The steering feels alive. The all-wheel drive system gives the car incredible confidence at high speeds, and the turbocharged engine still delivers enough excitement to put a smile on your face every single time you accelerate. Even years after production ended, the Focus RS continues to stand out because it offers something raw and unpredictable in a market that's becoming increasingly digital and automated. And honestly, that matters more than ever right now. In today's US market, where many manufacturers are moving toward quieter hybrid systems and fully electric performance cars, vehicles like the Focus RS almost feel like the end of an era. It represents a time when performance cars were loud, aggressive, and designed mainly to make driving fun. So who should actually buy one? If you want a comfortable daily commuter with luxury features and smooth ride quality, This probably isn't your car. But if you're someone who values excitement, character, and a driving experience that feels genuinely special every time you get behind the wheel, the Focus RS still deserves serious attention. And after seeing what it can do on an open runway, it's easy to understand why so many enthusiasts still love this car today. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think the Ford Focus RS is still one of the greatest hot hatches ever made? Or have newer performance cars already surpassed it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more high-performance car content coming soon.